Catholic Bishop of Sokoto Diocese, Matthew Hassan Kukah, has lashed out at President Muhammadu Buhari, saying his policies made Nigerians more vulnerable. In his Christmas message to Nigerians, Kukah also faulted the anti-corruption credentials of President Buhari. Kukah, who referenced his previous public statements that criticized the Nigerian leader, said Buhari has succeeded in splitting the country. The Catholic cleric, however, commended the president for the performance of his administration in the provision of infrastructure. Arise analyst Kayode Otitoju is here to speak to Father Kukah's critique of President Buhari's administration. Compliments of the season. Do we say Merry Boxing Day? Is that a thing?
I haven't gotten enough boxes to open on the Boxing Day.
Okay, I hope so.
Maybe I'm still getting from you.
Exactly. They're on their way. They're on their way. Now, let's just get straight into the conversation. So, of course, we saw Nigeria slipping from 146th on the Global Corruption Index in 2019 to 154th most corrupt country in the world recently. Bishop Kukah cited nepotism as a major factor contributing towards this. What are your thoughts?
Well, let me first start from the religious. The religious are bishops, reverend fathers, imams, and we call them the religious. You know, they have never failed to point out the ills of the society. In Nigeria here, we have seen the likes of Bishop Anthony Okogie. We have seen Bishop Oko of Methodists. We've seen, even Reverend Father Ehusani, and so many people like that, apart from Bishop Kukah. Bishop Kukah didn't really criticize the system. He only pointed out the ills of the society, and in his normal way, he he prescribed, solution. And where he was to, praise the administration, he did. In the area of infrastructure and area of electoral, reforms. And so the hope that if the electoral, reform and what is being put in place to make INEC work and deliver, a free, fair, and, credible election, then there will be good government. Because really, apart from God, and which we celebrate during the Christmas, the birth of our Christ, Jesus Christ, another body is government. There was even a big, one of the old writers that said, I fear only two people, God and government. So Kukah is of the opinion that if the electoral system is in place and bring about good government, corruption and all the ills, will be thing of the past. All the things they mention about corruption, nepotism, banditry, Fulani of Nigeria, all those things are not new. Many people have said it. The critics, the social critics, and what have you. But it now brought, the biblical way of, admonishing government and profiling solution. In the Old Testament, you see, so many religious people that, were even against government. Some were even thrown into jail. Some into the pit where we have lions to devour them because they are saying the truth. So, up to today, we still have people like that, and they will continue. And it's not only in religious sphere alone. People like Ganifa Wemi had done that, and they had gone. We still have the likes of Femi Falana, too, still doing that, taking government to, see that it's when there is peace, there is what we call fairness as enshrined in the Constitution in areas of, federal character, which is supposed to solve the problem of nepotism. When we start doing things aright, okay, the bishop is after perfection, okay? If we can move close to perfection in our ways, then, the world will be a better place to live.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Otitoju. One thing that the bishop also touched on was the need for Nigerians to choose wisely when it's time for elections next year. I'm just wondering, in the midst of all the challenges that the electoral body has pointed out in terms of whether it's security or vote buying, are you confident that all the T's have been crossed and the I's have been dotted in terms of what needs to precede this proper stage being set for next year's election?
I think the bishop, eulogized Mr. President and what he has done in the area of electoral and the INEC, processes and procedures. And I think, really, in my own layman angle, I can say that if things should be followed dogmatically, the way he has put it down, and if there should be continuity in the, in the way he's doing things, like security, like even the Naira design, in order to work against vote buying and not making too much Naira available until after election. Because I learned the central bank has printed only 500 million of the new currency. And by the time we are going to the election, that will be the maximum amount of new currency in circulation, which is not even enough for, under normal circumstances, for a state to even spend within a week. So all those things are there. You have to take hard, decision in order to get to the Eldorado.
Okay, Mr. Otitoju, I'd like to take an extract from his speech. Where do I begin? He says, "I speak for myself and Nigerians when I say we thank God that he mercifully restored you to good health." Of course, he's referring to the president. He said, "We know that you are healthier now than you were before. We can see it in the spring in your steps, the thousands of miles you have continued to cover as you travel abroad. May God give you more years of good health. However, I also wish that millions of our citizens had a chance to enjoy just a fraction of your own health by a measurable improvement in the quality of healthcare in our country." Now, how would you rate? Do you think that this administration did enough for healthcare, especially considering the number of doctors and nurses that we have engaged currently in a mass exodus to Japa all around the world? Did this administration do enough for healthcare, in your opinion?
No.
That's it. Yeah. Tell us a little bit more. It's just a plain no. There's no more to it. Yeah.
When Buhari first took power as a military officer, I think in 1983, one of the quotable quotes that I still have of him is, "Our hospitals have become mere consulting, centers." That means one of the reasons why we are taking government was the hospital are mere consulting centers. No drugs, no whatever. If you look at our national hospital up till now, it's still the same as that of 1983, with the exception of states, because there are some states that have really taken the bull by the horn by having community health centers and all sorts of things in local government areas. But at national level, even the national hospital, does he want to go there to even attend to his health himself? No, he goes abroad. So that's that. But there is even a quote that I like in Kukah's this thing. He said, promises before election are sweet before election. And, after election, is soured, or something like that. So really, you see people making promises. I will do this, I can do this is what I've done before, or whatever. It's sweet when you are campaigning. When you get there, it's only God that can give us good government. And I'm sure God will do it. Among the 18 presidential candidates, even the people you are looking at, the first 3 or the first 4, God may say, it's not one of them. But I know God will rescue us, most especially from what Archbishop Kukah, focuses this thing, which is nepotism and corruption. It has ruined the country. People who are trained abroad, some of our children that went to very good school and all sorts of things, because of nepotism, they are not, absorbed into the system. Instead, it's where you come from. Once you are not from a certain area, you can't get some jobs. He mentioned godfatherism too, So Godfather, how many people have Godfather? If people like me should be depend on Godfather, I wouldn't have left my village where by now I would have still been taking a catapult to look for squirrel in the bush. Because no Godfather anywhere. But because there had been stages when there were good government. Like when I was growing up, Awolowo free education was there, okay? And when I got to secondary school, the Reverend Father just saw me as someone working in the chapel and asked me, instead of you paying school fees, come and be living with me. I lived with him. I wasn't paying school fees. I wasn't paying feeding. By so doing, I was able to rise. But how many people like that here today? Okay? When you are even thinking of how to survive. Okay? There is a common saying in Yoruba land that anytime resi to tun resaja, that is the someone we are giving stipend to eat, and it's trying to even feed dog, So things are so bad that, it's really very difficult for one to satisfy his own need. That's even when you are even in a good environment where you are not afraid of kidnapping or being thrown to camp, because people want to take your land and you resist. You get my point. Things are so bad. But one thing is sure, two governments like this have never followed themselves. Okay? When there is a bad government, know that the one that will succeed will be a good government.
Anything but this, to be honest. And thank you so much, Mr. Kayode Otitoju. We appreciate your time as always.